Oh, what have I done? Okay. Hey guys, am I live? And okay, I'm trying something new here today. Good morning, everybody. If you can see me, what is happening? What have I done here? Okay, sorry I'm a little bit late, guys. I had some tech issues. My Wi-Fi plays up a little bit, being out rural, and yeah, it was playing up last night and it was playing up a little bit this morning. So hopefully all okay. You can see me. I'll just wait for some people to pop on and get myself in the screen here. I'm trying something a little bit different today. I'm screen sharing. I'm not sure if it's going to work. And when I do that, I'm wondering if you can see me. Can you see me when I do that? Let me just... Sorry, guys. Not sure if this is going to work. This is a little bit of a trial process. So if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We'll just see how it goes. And if it works, fantastic, because I can do it again in the future. Well, a bit of a learning curve when it comes to all this tech. So let me just go over here. I can't do that. Okay. Just getting myself organized here. Can you see me? Can you see me? Yeah, you should be able to see me. Okay. Okie dokie. So I hope everybody is well. Just see. Let me just make sure. I'll just pop it over here a little bit. I think that's all okay, guys. Let me just make sure I can see the comment section here. Okay. Anyway, we'll give it a go. If it works, all good. If not, I'll have another go next time. Hopefully you can see me. So this is our weekly Q&A. I was going to try and work out some times to suit the different time zones. Then I realized it was daylight saving here in Australia last night. So I'm not sure how that affects the time zones in the UK and US. I'll have a look today and just see if it makes it a little bit more easier. I'm not sure if you guys have change of season time zones over there. Anyway, we'll have a chat and see what works. I just have a sip of my coffee. So if you pop on and you have a question to ask me, just pop it in the comments and I'll answer it for you in this Q&A. A big welcome to all our new members in the group. It's lovely to have you here. Really excited about how the group is building up. It's just a wonderful supportive group. It's I have it as a supportive educational environment where I provide tips and training and let you know of any of my courses and online trainings that are coming up and share videos. It's also a very good support group. So reach out anytime in the group, share your story with your Off the Track Thoroughbred, share your successes and your struggles, your challenges, and ask any questions. So if you have any questions, just pop a post up in the group and I will get back to you as soon as I can with that an answer for that question. If I can't answer it, I will do some research and find an answer for you. So that's what I'm here for. There's a little bio of me in a live video up at the top in one of the pinned posts if you wanted to find out a bit about me, my story, and why you can learn from me and my experience with thoroughbred racehorses in and after racing, which spans over 17 plus years. So what I wanted to do, so once again, if anyone pops on with some questions, I'll answer those for you. I wanted to try a little bit of a screen share method here, because if we can screen share in these lives, it's going to be fantastic. I'll be really excited about that. Let me just drink my coffee and work out if I can get this up on the screen. So I'll first just show you, I've got my little mini sitting on my lap here. There's my little Minnie. Hey, Min, say hello to everybody, baby. There's Min. Say hey, Min. Isn't she beautiful? Love my Minnie Mousey. Hey, Min. Say hello. So Minnie is one of my 7 little puppies. And Minnie is I've had Minnie, have we been together 6 years, Min? I found her on the streets of the local community here. She was skin and bone. She'd been dumped. Apparently she was wandering around the streets for over 3 months. And no one could catch her. And being a country town, you know, a lot of people just sort of ignore them. And whoever did try and catch her couldn't. But I could, hey? This was quite a few years ago now, and she is precious. Love my little Minnie. She got sick. Well, she was sick when I picked her up, but we're all good now, and she's my little bed companion with quite a few of the other ones. My 7 dogs, 5 sleep on the bed. I know, crazy. Hence, I have an ex. Hey, okay. So, what I wanted to talk about today is share a chart that I have, which I base my retraining, Off the Track Thoroughbred retraining program on, and follow through in my online courses and programs. So let me just see if I can do this. I'll pop it up. Now, I'm not sure if I slide it over here a little bit. It's wonderful tech. Okay, so we've got here, hoping that you can see it. Let me know in the comments if you can see my screen, and I'm screen sharing, because you'll see up here, I've got a holistic system of Off the Track Thoroughbred retraining success. So I've got a top slide up here, and I've got a bottom slide down here. So I get a lot of, I notice when a lot of people get their Off the Track Thoroughbred, they haven't had their Off the Track Thoroughbred for very long. They don't know, they're not aware that Off the Track Thoroughbreds are quite different from other horses. And so start having some issues, behavior issues, health issues, diet issues. They're like, oh my God, what do I do here? And it's because Off the Track Thoroughbreds are very different from other horses. They've lived a completely different life than your general equestrian horse, a very demanding life. And they quite often come out of it with physical issues and behavioral issues. And these need to be addressed to become suitable, safe, and successful in a life after racing, in your equestrian disciplines, in your pleasure disciplines. And it really, with my own journey, many, many years ago, when I got my first Off the Track Thoroughbred 23 years ago, I have to work out about 20 years ago, if longer actually, before I worked in the racing industry. So it was a massive learning curve for me. Knew nothing. I didn't even click that an Off the Track Thoroughbred was different than another horse. I just didn't it didn't click with me. I wasn't aware of it. So when you've got ignorance, you're not aware of it, you're sort of stuck. You get a little bit stuck. And often your trainers, your dressage trainers, a lot of trainers and instructors in that pony club, they don't understand the Off the Track Thoroughbred and how different they are, and the environment they have grown up in, basically, because they enter racing at such a young age. They enter racing as a yearling, and they get educated under saddle, the old version of saying they've been broken in, as a yearling, and that's all they know. And it's very stressful for them, and it's very demanding for them. And horses are flight animals. They're a prey animal, and they will run from fear. They express fear in a lot of different behaviors, in a lot of different ways. And fear is expressed in thoroughbred racehorses in a lot of ways. They're pushed into circumstances, and they're made to deal with it. Hence, a lot of behavior issues come out of it. So because of that, I've really developed my retraining system in a holistic approach, so that we're not only just addressing re-education, retraining them, but rehabilitation. And I realized that rehabilitation is so important. And a lot has to be done and addressed with your off the track thoroughbred before you even go into the retraining, re-education process of, you know, what I call, or it's ESI, I practice Equitation Science Principles. So retraining your basic responses that you would normally train with a green horse, that an unbroken horse that you're educating under saddle. The difference is when you're retraining an off the track thoroughbred, they've habituated to well, I suppose some bad habits, but it's not even so much bad habits. It's habituated to an excessive amount of pressure and behaviors and habits that are very common in racing and quite often needed in the way that they work in racing, like the excessive pressure on the bit and leaning into the bit and leading up into the bit. That's part of racing, the way they use their body, the way they race in gallops. Moving gallops, I should say, and use their body. So it's a lot of rehabilitating their body and retraining them physically as well to be able to move in a different way. It's a big process when you get an off the track thoroughbred. It's challenging quite often, and it can be really confusing if you don't have a structured plan and an idea of what to do, which I find is a big problem. Because there's not a lot of information out there on how to successfully transition an off-the-track thoroughbred from racing into your equestrian and pleasure disciplines. Hence the reason that I've set up this group and I've set up my off-the-track thoroughbred Success Academy, which I will go into more in the near future, because I've got a wonderful membership program coming up. Yeah, I just feel like it's really needed, and it's going to be a really big game changer for the welfare of off the track thoroughbreds, and also for the success and the support for all these wonderful people, including yourselves, like all these wonderful members of the group here that have taken on an off the track thoroughbred. Thank you so much. Working in racing for over 17 years, I just love thoroughbred racehorses. I just think they're the most amazing equine athlete. I have so much respect for them. I know what they have to stand up to and put up with in racing, and they do it. They're just incredible. I just think they're the best horses. I really do. It's just that there needs to be a lot more information and support for the wonderful people such as yourselves that take them on after racing. So because of that, I've set up my off the track thoroughbred Success Academy, and it's relatively new because I started it when I had my injury, my most recent track work injury. It was nearly a year and a half off track work with very nasty broken collarbone and shoulder damage. Broken ribs, and I was also very aware that my track work days are limited. Being 52, you know, yesterday, this is terrible. I'm going on a little off the topic here, but I was talking to a friend who is actually my ex-partner. Would you believe we're best friends? I'm just going to put my little heaties on here. It's a little bit cool. And I talk to him every day. He's a racing person out of the industry as well. He was a breaker and an ex-jockey, and a little bit more, quite old school when it comes to training. More traditional methods, not really conducive with equine welfare. So we hit heads a bit on that. Anyway, that's another topic. But I was talking to him yesterday, and I'm like, I know that my track work days are coming to an end, and I really need to retire because I've got a lot more that I want to do with my life. I don't want to. It's quite dangerous riding track work, very dangerous. You're basically risking your life. I've had a lot of injuries, and I want to get back into my show jumping and dressage, and putting a lot more work into my beautiful horses that I have, and getting them out and competing and focusing on the next chapter of my life. So I was talking to him, and I'm saying, look, I'm 51. And he said, you're not 51, you're 52. And I'm like, no, I'm 51. Pete, I'm 51. And he goes, you're 52. And I'm like, oh my God, I've forgotten how old I am. Like, I'm like, no, I'm not 52, am I? Like, I was born in 1969, so I had to count back, and I'm still, like, I've been doing so much work on the laptop lately, all building educational programs and all of that, which is not my, and I'm a very outdoor, obviously, horsey, ridey person, so sitting on a laptop and learning all this tech stuff is a challenge for me. So my brain is a little bit fried, and I was like 69, 79, 89, 99, and I think I'm 52. I still can't think straight, but I was gutted. I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. I've just realized I'm a year older than I am. So I was traumatized. I think I must be 52. Obviously not good as I was good at mathematics when I was at school, but not so good now. And you know, it's interesting as you get into the older age group, you lose track of how old you are. So I think I'm 52. I don't know how I got on. Oh yes, I did. That's right, because I'm transitioning out of track work. And yeah, I was quite traumatized. I still am. So anyway, 52, riding track work for 17 and a half years, going on 18 years, is a big achievement, and very enjoyable. Looking forward to the next chapter of my life, and also supporting you guys with your wonderful Off the Track Thoroughbreds. So in saying that, where was I up to? I was talking about the how it's it's a process, and it's a commitment taking an Off the Track Thoroughbred on. And so on the screen here, I hope you can see it. I don't know. Facebook is telling me that I'm sharing my screen. I've got what my Off the Track Thoroughbred. So how I retrain Off the Track Thoroughbreds. It's an holistic program, and I've set up a flow chart. I like things to be really clear. I like to be able to understand them, and so a flow chart really worked really well for me when it came to teaching you guys the process of retraining an Off the Track Thoroughbred. And I'm very much a chart person, and lighting things down and having things go here and there. So I hope this is really clear, and it makes sense to you. Let me know in the comments, because I would love to have your feedback. And this is part of my, so this is what I base my online programs on, which will be a new format of a membership program. I will be launching very soon in a founding member launch, and it is based on this program at the side. So I'm really excited to get this up and going. It's going to be very affordable. It's going to be a monthly membership. So I know it's really tough times. I'm having tough times myself at the moment with the lockdowns and transitioning out of track work, and I really wanted to have something affordable and very supportive for everybody, so that I can be there for you and continue to offer regular trainings. I'll talk about that more in the next coming weeks, but this is what it's based on. So hopefully let me know in the comments if you can see this chart on the screen in the live. It's called, if you see up here, this is the whole process of retraining an Off the Track Thoroughbred. So it's the holistic system of Off the Track Thoroughbred retraining success. This is my system. This is unique to me, something I've created myself. I even created with my wonderful graphic designer. I created all of this. She was so patient and understanding with me, trying to read out what is in my head of what I wanted to create, and she's done a beautiful job of reading my mind and all my scribbly papers. This was done over a year ago, but this is the system. So you can see here, with an off the track, with retraining your Off the Track Thoroughbred and rehabilitation, it's holistic. So we look at stage one. So you can see over here, I hope you can see my little cursor. Stage one, you have stage one in your retraining process, and then you go on to, once you've addressed stage one, you go on to stage two. which is your re-education process, which is retraining them to be suitable in your dressage, your show jumping, your pleasure riding, your trail riding. Because as I said, and what I explain in my online course is why Off the Track Thoroughbreds are different, their life in racing, how I go into really a lot of detail on how they use their body, their life in racing, their daily routine. And once you understand that, you will just realize why they are behaving the way that they're behaving. If you're having issues like standing still in the tie-ups, not enjoying being brushed, you know, kicking out, wanting to bite when you're rugging them, being really heavy in the bit. It just goes on. You know, they can turn around and just bite for no reason. They can be really aggressive with other horses in the paddock, or they can be really timid and get picked on. There's quite a few issues. So I explain everything in the course. When it comes to that, let me know if you're interested in the course. It's going to be part of the membership program, so it's going to be really really affordable, so everyone can have access to it. So you'll have a look over here, stage 1. So you get your Off the Track Thoroughbred, you've had him for like a few weeks, a month, you know, and you're like, okay, well, what do I do? You start off at stage 1, and you'll see here I have physical rehabilitation and well-being. I have psychological rehabilitation and well-being, and I've got the principles of Off the Track Thoroughbred success, OTTB success. We all know that's short for Off the Track Thoroughbred. And I have to remember how many principles I've got in that. I can't remember. Anyway, I've got some, I can't remember how many. I've got some really good principles to follow when it comes to being successful with your Off the Track Thoroughbred. And so once you've addressed stage 1 and you've gone through all of that and everything is really good, you're then ready to move on to stage 2, which is retraining your Off the Track Thoroughbred, riding them, training them. I always start off with training in hand, in groundwork first, and then you move on to re-education under the saddle. So re-education in hand, and re-education then under the saddle. So I break it up. So this is my little chart. I love my chart, and look how pretty it is. These are my brand colors. Love my brand colors. I was very excited about my brand colors. I just love it. I love my logo. Very excited about my brand. I really am. Not easy, guys, building your own brand and business. Let me just turn, I've got my heater on and off. Holy moly. Okay, so I don't know if it's as big as, I don't know if you can see it really well on the screen when it comes to the writing, because I'm not sure how to exactly screen share on Facebook Lives. But anyway, let me know. I'll watch the replay and see if it comes up. So I've broken it down. So then we go into more detailed of what each section of your stage 1. So each part of the aspect of the retraining process. So you've got physical rehabilitation and well-being. Okay, so then off the side of this, you'll see what I address. Once again, this is all in the course. I go in detail with all of them. You've got your nutrition and gut health, which is really important. With Off the Track Thoroughbreds, their gut is a mess. They have been on a very high grain, high concentrate diet, very often very low, nearly always low in forage, your hay and your fiber. So that's really catastrophic really for gut health, because horses are designed to just have to graze all day on long stem forage, not lush green grass, long stem forage, where you've got, you know, the gut is full all the time. They're continually chewing a very high roughage diet. Off the track thoroughbred racehorses have a very high grain diet, very little hay and roughage, and if they do get hay, it's usually quite rich lucerne. So this is really detrimental on their gut health, and that it causes, and I've got down here, part of it is ulcers. So you've definitely got to address ulcers with your Off The Track Thoroughbred. They will more than likely have ulcers. This is very painful for them. It causes behavior issues. One of them is a dislike of being brushed, crankiness, being girthy, a bad coat, behavior issues under saddle, kicking out, pig rooting, not being able to put on weight. There's a huge amount of issues with ulcers, and not only that, they're extremely painful. So that's so important to address those when you first get your Off The Track Thoroughbred. You've also got injuries. Quite often, thoroughbred racehorses will come off the track. They've been retired because of injuries. Really good to find out the history of your Off The Track Thoroughbred, how long they were in racing for, if they had any injuries during their racing career, and if so, when, and do you need to spell them? Well, I always recommend spelling your Off The Track Thoroughbred for a minimum of 3 months when they come off the track. Just to allow them to let down. If they've come straight out of racing, their body is rock hard. They're just in the mindset. But when you're spelling them, it's the opportunity to start with stage 1. So it's definitely not, I can't do anything with my Off The Track Thoroughbred. This is where you start in stage 1. So it's part of the process. Body work. They have issues with their body because that's been under, such a demanding workload. It's, the daily intense exercise that thoroughbreds are put under puts a lot of strain on their body. They quite often have sacroiliac issues, lumbar issues, and basically they use their body in a completely different way, quite often an unhealthy way, to what we want for your equestrian and pleasure disciplines. Hoof rebalancing is really important. Once again, Off The Track Thoroughbreds have a lot of hoof issues. They are continually having plates and shoes nailed on and off from day one when they enter into racing as a yearling. They are in a stabled environment, so they're not out walking around in large paddocks, so their blood flow is restricted to their feet. For some reason, they tend to always have this, they're usually shod with the longer toe, and they tend to get underrun heels. Just the amount of pressure that's continually put on their feet, being shod for years and years on end, and galloping, and then the stabled environment and the concentrate diet, and that causes a lot of hip issues. So it's about rehabilitating their feet as well. And I explain that in my little course that I have. That will be part of the membership program. And letting down, well, that's your spell when they come off the track, giving them time out. Don't work them, don't ride them, don't bring them into an exercise program straight out of racing. This is quite a long live. I just wanted to give everybody an idea of where to start with your Off The Track Thoroughbred. I know people feel quite lost. I'm just going down to turn this on again. I have a sip of my coffee because I'm talking. So, okay, then we go down to psychological rehabilitation and well-being. So you've got so many issues when it comes to their psychological health. I explain, I call it the 3 Fs: friends, forage, and freedom, which they do not have in racing. Lack of interacting physically with other horses because they're individually stabled, so they're not going to understand how to interact with other horses. There's a lot of issues with what I call what is called a detachment. I explain that. So introducing them to other horses, they're quite detached. Thoroughbred racehorses, when they come out of racing, it's like they're they don't get mollycoddled, they don't get hugged. I mean, you get your favorite stable hands and that, but they don't get mollycoddled. They're a workhorse, they're an athlete, they're there to work, and they're not used to it, and they don't really like it because they don't understand it. They've never had it. Quite often they won't like being touched. They don't know how to interact with other horses quite often on a physical, in a herd environment. And this can be an issue, so you need to gradually introduce them to other horses. They need to learn how to be a horse, basically. Regular routines is really important to maintain with an off-the-track thoroughbred because they've come out of such a regimented routine in racing. Detachment issues, which I explain. So detachment issues, one, they're not mollycoddled and they're not pampered like your pleasure and equestrian horses. They're individually paddocked, yarded, stabled their whole life, so they don't interact naturally with other horses. They don't know how to. So this is important to be aware of when you get your off-the-track thoroughbred, because you just can't plop them in with other horses and expect them to be normal. They're going to, sometimes they will be, quite often they're not. They won't get on with other horses. They may end up going through fences. Lots of things can happen. So this is part of your psychological rehabilitation that I explain. I can't go too much into it in the live because there's so much to go through, but this is just gives you an idea of what's involved in your retraining process when you get you off the track thoroughbred. Social equine introduction, so I explained with that. They don't get that in racing because even though they have a lot of other horses around them, they're individually stabled and yarded, so they don't get that tactile interaction. They're not in stables, or they're not in yards or paddocks together. Ethical training, nurturing the horse's ethology and learning processes. So that's, working with your horse in a format that they understand and is natural to them. Once again, this is not done not only in, racing and in their training system, but in so many other, your general traditional training systems, dressage, show jumping, and that is quite often in your traditional methods. This is not the way that horses are trained. So it's really important to understand how your horse learns, and then you can retrain them in an ethical way so that they understand. And it's really good because you have a much deeper understanding of your off-the-track thoroughbred, and it creates a relationship. It's like in a partner with your friends and everything. I thought I had water leaking from the screen then. Something fell from the ceiling. It's like with your partner, or if you with your spouse or that, if you understand them, they know how they click, how they clip, how they work. It creates a more intimate relationship and a more harmonious relationship, and it's no different with our horses, especially because we have such an intimate relationship with horses because we ride them, we use them in sport, we use them in in sport. I suppose your classical dressage is more of an art type riding, and it's important to understand how they click, how they work. I go into all, this is all part of, so what I'm explaining here is just how I work. You've come into the group, so everything that I will teach you and everything that I put up is based around this whole system. And so that's why I wanted to share it today to like step one. Step one is this is where you're at when you work with me, either free or paid, in the group, in my lives. It's all based on this. Okay, now the principles of Off the Track Thoroughbred success. I've just got some principles that I follow and teach. I'll just give you, we'll expand on it more. And once again, when the membership program is available, you'll be able to have access to all of this. One of them is it's never the horse's fault. No matter what happens with your horse, what situation you are in, it is never the horse's fault, ever. And I go into that because horses are horses. We have introduced them to, we have domesticated them, we have introduced them to the racing environment, and they react to that. So it's once you understand this, it's so liberating, really, because you're like, okay, it gives you a different mindset, and it gives you a different approach to how you see your off the track thoroughbred, and how you address the whole riding and training process. When I say off the track thoroughbred, I know we have some standee owners in the group as well. So this is exactly the same approach with standard breds. They come out of a little bit of a different environment in that they're not ridden. I don't know, I'm not really detailed on the standard breds. I know they're a racehorse as well, obviously, and they live in an individual environment, so it definitely is applicable to your standard breds. In the my principles, the 10 principles of equitation science, there's 10 principles of equitation science. Equitation science is a format, a training principles, and a process, I should say, that I follow. It's an educational process that puts the welfare of the horse and well-being as a priority. So I love equitation science. So if you go into the guide section of the group, I've got some great information on equitation science, what it is. You'll get a really good information on equitation science. And the 3 F's, so this is what I call the priority must-have 3 F's: your friends, forage, and freedom. So I go into that. Your horse always needs friends, other equine company where they can touch, have some tactile interaction. Once again, when getting an off-the-track thoroughbred, gradually introduce them to new horses in a shared environment for safety, and also to help them adjust. And forage, long stem forage, non-stop. This is not short green grass. This is your long stem forage. Non-stop, 24 hours, and freedom. They need freedom to move. They are natural grazing animals. It's really good for them physically. Blood circulation for their feet. They're not like dogs who can just sit down and, we can sit down. It's not good for our circulation, but horses are on their legs 90% of the time, and they are grazing animals, so they are designed to continually move, and they need that for their blood circulation health and health to their feet. Okay, going through a lot in this live, but I think it will really help anyone who comes into the group and who's already been in the group, because I haven't done this before, know where you start at and what's involved. So once we've addressed all this big stage 1 in my pretty little flow chart here, you move on. You're ready to move on to stage 2, which is the re-education process. And look, in the course, which is going to be part of the membership program, it's going to be your core program, and then everything else, all the trainings and everything are going to come out of that, is where the practical training will come in. So your re-education process, I start and re-educate with equitation science principles, retraining your basic responses, your basic aids, stopping to a light response, because thoroughbred racehorses don't stop to a light response. Many reasons for that. They habituate to an excessive amount of bit pressure. Having them light to the responses of your stop and go is not a priority in racing. They're not ridden like that. They're ridden short. We ride, excuse me, a little hiccup here. They're ridden, they don't have your leg aids on them. They carry their body in a completely different way. So they can't actually stop lightly physically when they come off the track, because they're on the forehand. They're just leaning and using the bit pressure to balance themselves. They have not got the balance to stop lightly, and they haven't got the hind end strength generally, depending, you get the odd thoroughbred racehorses that have been worked in a different way, but generally they're on the forehand, and very heavy in the bit. We need to physically rehabilitate them, retrain them, I should say. So, well, rehabilitation goes into over here, but retrain them to shift their weight to their hind end, so get them physically strong to do that and light to the responses. So you go, so in hand we start first with your retraining process. In hand is your go, which is your go forward aid, little tap with the leg, in hand, little pressure, bring forward off the lead rope, and then you have that trained in hand to light responses where you can hardly see. So like you want them invisible responses where you actually just do the lightest bit of pressure with your lead rope and the horse flows forward. So that's, you will find if you go out and try to ask your horse to move forward off light lead pressure, most often than not, they will be very heavy, and you have to be quite firm to ask them to step forward. We want this trained to a very light response. You stop as well. Your stop, slowing down, is going to be very heavy generally with your off the track thoroughbred unless they've been retrained. Very heavy in the bit when riding, very on the forehand. You turn, so you're stopping, you turn, so you're turning left and right. Quite often they'll hang and they won't turn without, you know, they might hang their head, or you ask them to turn left and they just turn their neck. So this is all what we need to retrain, getting them light to the turns, and your yielding, so your hind legs, your leg yields, and, you know, you're moving off the leg, moving their hind leg is really important to retrain all of these, because they go around, thoroughbred racehorses go around in one direction, generally, you know, you trot and canter on your slow mornings, but fast, and they're not turning and bending and going in different rays. You know, they're not working on one rein and then turning around and working on the other rein in one session. They go around a big race course in one direction very fast a lot of the time. So, you know, you have your slow mornings, your fast mornings, but it's very different to what we want them to work as in what, you know, whatever you would like to do with your off the track thoroughbred, whether it's competing, show jumping, dressage, or you're just having a trail ride, pleasure horse. It's still the same. So we've approached all this underhand. Once you've retrained this light in hand, you then go and retrain it under saddle. You go, you stop, you turn, and you turn of your yield of your hind legs. So this is your retraining process. And then just down here, now this I want to explain, this is not, I didn't create this scale. This is Equitation Science retraining. Equitation Science is not just retraining, but it's any horse that is when you follow Equitation Science Principles, it is following this one. So this isn't, I didn't create this this process. I use in my re-education process, I follow Equitation Science Principles, which is this. So there's also the shaping scale. So this is, the shaping scale is just your basic attempt. So training these responses to very light, almost invisible responses in hand and under saddle. So your basic attempt is when you're first teaching it, training it, then we move up to obedience, rhythm. It's a bit like the German training scale, but this is a different scale when it comes to equitation science. So your straightness, your contact, and your proof. So when you're at proof level, your horse is very light to all these responses in hand and under saddle in any situation, out at competitions, yeah, at home, going on the float, going on all different floats. Yeah, so I hope there's a lot of information I've covered in this live. I hope this makes sense. Let me know what you think of it, because I love it. I wish that I had this when I got my off the track thoroughbred. It might have saved me 10 years of struggle. And I love it. And because I'm so passionate about the welfare of all horses in general, quite horrified by some of the training methods that you see, that, you know, even your traditional training, you know, with your very overbent horses behind the vertical, it's just horrible to see. I'm more down the classical dressage, lines in hand classical dressage, which I do incorporate in my retraining as well. It works in very well with these principles, the shaping scale under Equitation Science Principles. So, yeah, look, I hope you found this really valuable. Please let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think about this, my flow chart. I am very proud of it. I think it looks really pretty as well because I love my colors. And yeah, I hope this has been really helpful. I think it's going to be a really good video, this live, to have at the beginning of the group, just so everybody understands what's involved. And you know, it gives you a bit of a, I suppose it's a roadmap to follow. Now I've got my Off the Track Thoroughbred. It's like, instead of like, well, first of all, in the course, it's the Off the Track Thoroughbred Kickstart roadmap. I go right back to the history of racehorses and how they live in racing. So, you know, it's so important to understand where your Off the Track Thoroughbred has come from. Once again, it's like, you know, if you're with a partner or a spouse, knowing their history, maybe they've had, you know, maybe they've been you know, come from an abusive background, family, some issues with family, maybe they've had a severe accident, maybe they've been in the military, they've, you know, been overseas in Afghanistan. You know, it's a bit similar to thoroughbred racehorses. They sort of come out of racing with a bit of PTSD, because it's very regimented. It's a bit like being in the army for a horse. And you know, it's not so different as working with ex-servicemen that have been in the military and experienced some very stressful things. And yeah, that's the reason I've created this, because it's not about just getting an Off the Track Thoroughbred and like, okay, we can go out and next week and go to Pony Club or do a dressage comp. It's just not. You can get very quiet off the track thoroughbreds, absolutely. But, you know, it's generally you're not going to get the best. Even if you've got a very quiet off the track thoroughbred, you're still going to need to address these to get the most out of your off the track thoroughbred and to be really successful, and to have their health and well-being in mind, as well as the enjoyment for yourself. So I hope this is really helpful. Let me know what you think. Once again, I'll probably ask this a couple of times, but I love my flow chart, my roadmap, and let me know what you think. And I will leave it at there. I've been talking for ages, I think, in this live. And I will show Minnie. That's Minnie. There's my Minnie. She would say bye. Hey, the whole time I've been talking, she's been on my lap. She's on my lap nearly all the time. And I will see you in the group, and I will see you for next week. We'll see how this time works out for the guys in the US and the UK. Pretty much US, I think, is the main time zone that I really need to try and get a different time for you guys. But I will sit down now. I know daylight saving has hit Australia. It'll give me more of an idea of what is suitable for you guys over there. Anyway, I will leave it there. Have a lovely day or evening wherever you are in the world, and I will see you in the group and also for next week's Q&A. Bye. Say bye, Min. Oh, we got our ear popping. Doggy's ears always go funny. Doggy's ears. Say bye. Look at it. She's still in her jammies. This is a little jammy. Jammies. I know. You're a good girl. Yeah. Isn't she beautiful? Isn't she beautiful? See you guys. Okay. How do I turn off my live now? With, okay. I'll pop over here. I got it. See you guys. Hope this worked. Hope you saw the chart.